then got caught up talking about I'm getting attention for Diddy and I don't know him. Say it while I'm here. Don't just say it while I'm saying right here.
Men out here trying to bully women.
Bullying you? You bullied Diddy. You bullied his family. You bullied Diddy's entire family. You bullied Diddy's entire family.
So listen, let's get back into what
let's
happened
get back
with the
into it because you're a liar.
I'm with Johnson in New York. We're coming on the air right now because the federal judge in the Sean Diddy Combs trial has just denied bail for Combs hours after a split verdict in the racketeering and sex trafficking case against him.
A spectacle in Lower Manhattan, fitting for a global icon. Supporters waving bottles of baby oil, and Combs' mother giving a thumbs up and blowing kisses to the crowd, chanting for his release.
Combs' mom, Janice, waving to the crowd, his children breaking into smiles as they leave the federal courthouse in downtown Manhattan after the stunning verdict. Shouts of congratulations fill the air as they climb into a waiting van.
Congratulations, Mama Combs!
Combs still faces 20 years in jail on the 2 convicted counts.
We're hopeful that ultimately he receives a substantial sentence for what he's done.
But experts say realistically, he faces far lesser time behind bars, perhaps 2 years max.
If one image could show how Sean Diddy Combs' family feels about the split verdict, this was one of his sons after leaving court, after the judge denied his father bail.
Thank God.
And this was his family outside federal court moments after the verdict was read.
Hey, yo, we love y'all. We love everybody watching. So happy. Pop's coming home. God bless. God bless the whole world.
You shot straight, but you shot late. High level. This is the Rundown Podcast.
I'm going to give you the rundown.
A spectacle in Lower Manhattan, fitting for a global icon. Supporters waving bottles of baby oil, and Combs' mother giving a thumbs up and blowing kisses to the crowd, chanting for his release.
I would have probably voted not guilty on everything, only because I feel that the government overcharged and overreached.
But along with his supporters out here, detractors too, hurling cheers and jeers at his family as they entered and left court. Former fans say, even though Diddy was found not guilty of the most serious charges of sex trafficking and racketeering, the trial revealed a dark side that cannot be ignored.
Diddy he's not a good man. He's not a good man.
Seeing kind of the response of like baby oil everywhere and like people kind of making light of the situation, it actually scares me.
Combs is set to appear before a judge back in this courthouse on July 8th remotely for a hearing to discuss next steps, including sentencing date. The judge had originally scheduled it for October, but later agreed to move it up. That date is still yet to be determined.
The Diddy trial is now over, and they're saying that it was a spectacle on that last day, and everybody waited on the verdict. It was baby oil, boobs, and mice, causing a crazy, chaotic scene outside the Lower Manhattan courthouse. Wow. Individuals doing this baby oil ritual, they were dancing in the baby oil, as one of the pictures depicts a black woman. She's doing some kind of weird seance and ritual with all this baby oil over her, and also looks like some sort of blood is also on this lady. She did some type of blood sacrifice out there in front of the courthouse, allegedly from the picture. And blood and baby oil, boobs, yikes. What's really going on, you guys? That scene was full of social media influencers, TikTokers, and Instagrammers, and YouTubers, and such. And everybody had their phones out like on Black Mirror, just looking and being nosy and looking at the spectacle that was going on outside the Diddy trial while this ritual was going on, right? And they were coming down with the verdict, as we've seen, right? 3 not guilties and 2 guilties. It's a story of baby oil, boobs, and banter. And don't forget booze. So I'm pretty sure they were out there popping bottles, you guys. And it says that all of these were elements in the chaos that unfolded outside of Sean Diddy Combs' trial in Lower Manhattan on Wednesday, hours after a jury partially convicted him on criminal charges. Hundreds gathered at the courthouse at 500 Pearl Street, waiting on the judge's decision on whether to release the musician. The gathering began not long after word of the verdict of not guilty of ex-trafficking and racketeering, but convicted of prostitution offenses made the rounds online, and some applauded the verdict and others scoffed at the idea of Combs not spending the rest of his life, his natural black life, in prison. He is a criminal, one man said. Free Puffy, a group others chanted. Yikes. So this was a going back and forth with these people outside of the courtroom. And there was also some back and forth going on between two YouTubers, two popular YouTubers, okay? And they met up at this Diddy trial, you know, doing their thing for content and streaming the Diddy trial and giving updates to their subscribers, right? But initially, you know, everything started out smooth, but all of a sudden, these two YouTubers got into a big argument, and it was a little disrespect said towards each other back and forth. And here's the clip. Check it out. Run it.
Why are you sweating, Tisa? Why are you sweating? Why are you sweating?
Tisa's live talking about this fight, and he's live and talking about this fight. This is very meta, you guys. Men out here trying to bully women.
Bullying you? You bullied Diddy. You bullied his family. You bullied Diddy's entire family. You bullied Diddy's entire family.
So listen, let's get back into what
Let's
happened
get back
with the
into it because you're a liar. Why don't you tell them people about that Rico you promised them? With that
Hey Ron, let's get what this is very meta. This is very meta. This argument is very meta.
Black Mirror, guys.
It's Black Mirror, right? Look at how we're all live streaming.
Cameras everywhere.
We're all live streaming. Tisa's dancing. Tisa's dancing. So listen, Rachet's yelling.
You scrambling and scraping.
All right, you guys, kiss and make up.
Oh, she gotta stand on the line. She told me.
Listen.
Bad boy. Bad boy.
Not the bad boy.
Bad boy.
Now, as you seen in that clip, the YouTuber RachetTv, he was telling Tisa Tales, who's, you know, a very decorated, highly mentioned, okay, journalist when it comes to, you know, doing a YouTube thing and talking about these stories, okay, related to these celebrities like Diddy. She's been on Nancy Grace last time I checked, and yeah, man, so, you know, Tisa's doing her thing, and as you seen, she was trying to record, you know, her little piece for her content that day, and as you seen, you had RachetTv saying that Tisa was lying. I'm not sure exactly what about, but I would assume he was saying that she was lying about some of the things that was going on at the Diddy trial that both of them were attending in that video you seen. And as the video stated, you know, it was very weird because both of them were going live on their platforms on YouTube, right? And, you know, they both were having this live argument at the Diddy trial, you know, the courthouse there. And as you seen how it unfolded, right? RachetTv was telling Tisa Tales that, hey, you know, you gotta stand on everything you were saying about Diddy, right? You're the one that was bullying Diddy and his family, right? This is what RachetTv claims. And Tisa Tales obviously felt like RachetTv was trying to bully her since she's a woman and he's a man. So, you know, this right here caught a little attention, and I had to, you know, put it in the video because this is what a lot of the social media creators were doing there at that trial. They were trying to get the content, you know, get the word, you know, that Diddy was possibly going to be free today or not, you know, trying to get that footage. But as we've seen, they denied Combs that bail and he remained jailed, right? And they're saying they could even come back sooner than the date that the judge put out there, and they could possibly work something else out. So as of now, they're saying, no, we weren't gonna let him out because he has a propensity for violence. Yikes.
This entire trial, it's been really emotional from the very first day when Cassie Ventura, took the stand and testified for 4 days up until the moment the verdict was reached. I'll bring you inside the courtroom and the emotions that our producers experienced and saw, when this verdict actually came down. Now, the minute it came down, that first verdict charge was delivered, not guilty for RICO, there was an audible gasp inside that main courtroom, in the overflow courtroom, and there's several of them with hundreds of people, both reporters and just the general public. There were screams. One person even kind of dropping to their knees during the not guilty verdict when it came to sex trafficking, and the guilty verdict when it came to the transportation of sex workers. But then afterwards, when the judge was thanking the jury for their hard work, 6 weeks of doing this job, obviously unpaid for their civic duty, Sean Diddy Combs himself was mouthing thank you over and over and over to the jury. He then turned around to his family, put his prayer hands up, and said, "It's going to be okay." That is when his family left the courtroom and got into an elevator where our producers were also getting in that very same elevator. His 2 children, at least 2 of them, 6 of them were in court today. Christian Combs and Justin Combs, they were literally jumping up and down. Another reporter in that elevator asked them how they felt, and they said they were overjoyed. They began talking about this 4th of July party in Miami and talking about their father, Sean Diddy Combs, being at that party. To your point there a moment ago, there is a big step in the way of that actually becoming a reality. That is bail. We expect, the judge said, that he is going to deliver a decision on bail by the end of today. Lawyers for both sides, the prosecution and the defense, are going to deliver arguments on whether Diddy should or should not be given bail. But at the crux of that argument, at least in the first part of this trial before the verdict came in, was the concern that Diddy would tamper with witnesses. That is no longer a concern now, and so there's likely going to be a chance that prosecutors argue he could be a flight risk. Defenses are obviously going to say that's not going to be the case. They probably give up his passport. But there is a chance that Sean Diddy Combs could get bail and he could join his children on that 4th of July, party.
Mayhem ensued as several fans and detractors got into verbal jousts on the street. Seconds later, screams rang out when people could be seen flinging baby oil. Look, you get some baby oil. You get some baby oil. You get some also. Wow, they were flinging it, you guys. And performance artist, crackhead Barney, danced in the slippery shower before exposing her breasts. This is the boobs, I guess. Okay. Cops and court officers immediately shut down the impromptu Diddy party. Well, this is what they're calling it, a Diddy party, and closed off the surrounding area to anyone without press credentials. It was not enough. A small mouse appeared from the federal court grounds and made its way into the press pens, where journalists had hunkered down. Cameras were flung and photographers jumped onto stools as they attempted to avoid the rodent. Yikes. Amidst the mayhem, Combs' children and mother entered and exited the court to cheers, okay? And it was a reporter that was in the elevator with Sean Combs' son. Pretty sure it was Justin and Christian. And this reporter, right, he says that while he was in that elevator with Diddy's sons right after that verdict, they almost broke the elevator, celebrating so hard and jumping around and hugging and doing all this celebration type activities in this elevator. And this reporter, he brought us this story, right, exclusively. And the reporter claims that the sons, Christian and Justin, told him that they had already planned to, have this 4th of July get together, right, cookout for their dad coming home. And so they had already expected Puff to get some type of bail, but unfortunately, we see that did not happen.
I have spent the last many weeks inside this courthouse for the Sean Diddy Combs trial, and today after the verdict came down, I found myself in the elevator with 2 of his sons and a bunch of other family members. When I tell you they were jubilant. They were jumping up and down to the point where I really thought that the elevator might even break, might stop. They were banging on the doors, shouting, "Let's go, let's go." It was a lot. It was intense. They were clearly thrilled with the outcome today. Christian Combs said that he was overjoyed, said Diddy is free. And then they were talking about planning a 4th of July party in Miami, speaking as if Sean Combs is going to be there. Now, we don't know yet whether or not he's going to be out before sentencing or whether he's going to be held until sentencing. That's all going to get determined later today. But in that elevator, they think that Sean Combs is coming home. So it was wild.
The defense was hoping that Combs would be able to leave the courtroom and go back to his family today. And earlier he even said to his family there that I'm coming home. But it turns out that that is not the case. What are you learning from what happened in this hearing late today?
Sean Combs entered court just a moment ago looking upbeat. He greeted his family who crammed into the gallery, all in one bench, his mother, sons, twin daughters. And I think he was anticipating that he would be released following the mixed verdict, especially the acquittal on all of the violent crimes. But the judge immediately sat down at the bench, started reading his decision, saying bail is denied. He would not be released prior to sentencing because the judge said his incarceration is required based on what he was convicted of, transportation for the purposes of prostitution. The judge said the defense did not make any successful arguments to say that that expectation should be overridden.
Now, Diddy was only left with 2 charges after he beat those 3 main charges that could have led him up to spending life in prison. But these last 2 charges that he was found guilty of, right? They're saying transportation to engage in prostitution. Okay, so that means that Diddy was supplying the transportation for, these male prostitutes to get to, the hotel where either just Cassie was or where him and Cassie was waiting for one of these sex workers to come in and bang Combs' wife while he sat back in a cuckold position, right? Mysteriously with a veil over his face, right? Watching all this freakish activity go down while, of course, he had his scrotum in his hand. Yeah, that's nasty. So y'all get in the comment section. I would love to know what y'all think about this entire situation. And until the next time, this is OG Jucario TV with the latest in rap, hip-hop celebrity, and urban news. You're watching the Rundown Podcast. I appreciate everybody for spending with me. I appreciate all my subscribers for sliding with your boy every time. And say, hey man, keep hitting that like button, keep hitting that subscribe button, and look, turn on post notification so we can slide whenever I get the drop. You already know what it is, man. It's deeper than Buddha, you hear me? And guess what? I'm gone.